football environment up until the end of the game.
And then security started just yelling, watch out, watch out, watch out. So I'm just there, and I kind of like pulled my camera down after a bit. I saw like students getting hit in the back of the head with water bottles.
There's some number of bottles with some brown stuff in them, so I'm not sure. Probably not moonshine. I don't think they'd waste the moonshine on me.
Fans went into this weekend's matchup against Tennessee expecting fireworks, and they got them, just maybe not the kind they expected.
We're taking a deep dive into the scene in Knoxville. NewsWatch Ole Miss starts now.
Good evening and welcome to NewsWatch Ole Miss. I'm Mason Ciano.
And I'm Darielle Johnson. A packed and excited crowd of over 102,000 fans got out of hand quickly in the fourth quarter of Ole Miss's win over Tennessee on Saturday. There's a lot to break down about the final 60 seconds of play, which took over 30 minutes to actually complete. Sports Watch reporter Ruby Dreyer joins us in the studio. Ruby, what happened on Saturday?
Tensions were high in Knoxville after Tennessee was just short of converting a 4th and 24 play that would give them a chance to end the game. The Rebel defense made a huge stop to give the ball back over to the Ole Miss offense with 54 seconds left to play. While the receiver's arm crossed the line to gain, the ball did not. And fans in Neyland Stadium on Saturday strongly disagreed with that call. Following the review, Vols fans started throwing cans, bottles, and golf balls onto the field. One fan was able to hit head coach Lane Kiffin with a golf ball. With so much trash flying through the air, the game was delayed 20 minutes with only 54 seconds left to play. The actions from fans Saturday resulted in a $250,000 fine towards the University of Tennessee and a mandatory ban of every individual identified that threw something. The SEC will also conduct a full evaluation of the university's alcohol policies.
This morning, Brad Wilson, who directed the game for ESPN, met with students to discuss the scene at Neyland Stadium and what he saw from behind the scenes.
Knew we were going to have to weather a storm early of energy and emotion and a lot of.
Everyone in the stadium saw the events of Saturday night in a different perspective. We sat down with WBIR sports director Karthik Venkataram, who was on the sideline when fans started throwing trash, to find out what he saw.
When it started happening, or when I started realizing it was
And then all of a sudden, I just see thing after thing just flying from the stands. One student threw something, it was a water bottle, and almost hit me in the chest, but a security guard told me to move right in the nick of time, and I caught it out of my peripheral vision and kind of dodged it. Somebody else threw a water bottle, it fell onto the field, exploded in front of me, and got all over my pants. But that's the worst I got from it.
Many involved in Saturday night's barrage are in legal trouble. 18 people were arrested and 47 ejected from Neyland Stadium after trash rained down from its stands. The game was stopped for 20 minutes with 54 seconds left as cups, bottles, pizza boxes, and golf balls came down. Knoxville and University of Tennessee police are investigating to make further arrests and to identify fans and students to ban them from future UT games.
The University of Tennessee Chancellor Donde Plowman released a statement about the behavior of Tennessee fans this weekend. Chancellor Plowman said that she is astonished and sickened by the behavior and reached out to Chancellor Glenn Boyce to offer an apology to the University of Mississippi. In addition to her statement, SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey released a statement condemning the actions of some fans and promising to review the existing policies.
Saturday's game overshadowed the dominant performance from Ole Miss quarterback Matt Corral as the Rebels improved to 5-1 on the season. Corral completed 21 of 38 passes for 231 yards and 2 touchdowns, but that wasn't even the best part of his game. Corral had a career-high 195 yards on the ground, enough to earn him SEC Co-Offensive Player of the Week. The Rebels got on the board first, and thanks to the defense, the Rebels were able to stay ahead from the second quarter on. Vols quarterback Hendon Hooker and the Volunteers had the ball with 4 minutes and 8 seconds left in the game. Sam Williams sacked Hooker for a loss, and holding call made it a 4th and 24 play. Thanks to a clutch tackle by Otis Reese, the Volunteers were stopped 1 yard short from the first down. After a delay of game from Vols fans, Ole Miss was unable to move the chains, and the Volunteers got the ball back with 20 seconds left. Tennessee took over at the 47-yard line and quickly started moving down the field. The Rebel defense was heroic and stopped the Tennessee offense to end the game 31-26. Matt Corral is the first Ole Miss player in 14 years to run the ball more than 30 times in a game, and now he might not be playing. Corral suffered an ankle injury against Tennessee and came out of the game for a play before going back in to finish out the game. After the game, Corral mentioned that he felt fine and it was just a stinger. However, in his press conference today, head coach Lane Kiffin updated the media that Corral's health is not looking good ahead of this week's matchup versus LSU. Kiffin mentioned that he doesn't feel good about his injury, but remains hopeful for him to play on Saturday. Looking ahead to this week, number 12 Ole Miss is hosting LSU for the Magnolia Bowl and will look to move to 6-1 on the season. Not only is this a historic rivalry matchup for these two teams, but Ole Miss quarterback legend will have his jersey retired on Saturday, and SEC Nation will be in Oxford. Eli Manning was an Ole Miss quarterback from 2000 to 2003 and will join his father, Archie Manning, in the Ole Miss Hall of Fame. SEC Nation will also make its first appearance in Oxford since the LSU game in 2019. The weekly traveling show will broadcast from the Grove for the 7th time in school history.
Moving on from our coverage of the game, tragedy struck Mississippi's capital city in another deadly shooting. Jackson police have identified a suspect accused of shooting and killing 3 people and injuring 3 more at Club Rain early Sunday morning. JPD has issued a warrant for Jeremy Jones for the shooting that killed 2 women and 1 man, all in their early 20s. The shots were fired inside the club on Medgar Evers Boulevard, despite the presence of 5 security guards at the scene. Shots were first fired across the street, and a van was hit multiple times by bullets outside. The 3 injured persons are expected to survive.
In other news, the David Reese chapter of the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution and the local Girl Scouts will be holding an American flag retirement ceremony, and the public is welcome to attend. Worn or damaged American flags can be dropped off at the Lafayette County and Oxford Public Library on the U.S. Post Office on McClarty Road. The ceremony will take place on November 7th at the Old Army Pavilion in Oxford at 2 p.m.
We've heard of drug dogs, bomb dogs, and even COVID sniffing dogs, but today it's all about a new kind of dog in training. NewsWatch reporter Sarah Gale Myers has the details.
He's just too sweet. He just wants to be in your lap instead.
In today's world, dogs are used for much more than man's best friend. This is Buddy, and he's in training to help his future owner in a different way.
And I'm training him to alert for the seizures so she can understand when she's getting them and when to sit down and prepare for the seizures. Good boy.
Casey Swaim, head trainer at Mossy Oak Kennels in West Point, Mississippi, is working on this project for a friend of his.
It's just a personal thing that I do in my spare time.
Swaim says before a seizure even starts, the body gives off a scent that dogs can smell. So Swaim wants Buddy to recognize that scent and be able to alert the owner.
And so we're trying to teach Buddy to use his paw to like push up against your leg whenever he's like exposed to that scent.
Swaim normally trains hunting dogs, but since Buddy has a bad hip, he makes a better candidate for something like this, although he doesn't always make it easy.
Well, Buddy is a particularly interesting dog to try to train because he just wants to love on you. So we've been getting the basic obedience down, but he's really difficult because, you know, when you go to start teaching him things, he just wants to jump up in your lap and get pet.
Despite this, Swaim is not giving up just yet.
You know, giving it our best shot, and hopefully we can make it happen. And, you know, that way in the future I know how to train dogs up to do that.
While this is still just an idea and Buddy here is still in training, he might be able to save a life one day. I'm Sarah Gale Myers, NewsWatch Ole Miss.
We can't wait to hear more about Buddy's progress.
The Oxford Christmas Parade is returning this year. After a year off due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the parade is back this year with the theme Christmas Joy. Applications are due by November 23rd, and all entries accepted will be required to attend a pre-parade meeting on November 29th at 6 p.m. at the Oxford Conference Center. The parade will be held on December 6th at 6:30 with a makeup date set for the next day if inclement weather forces the parade to be postponed.
Listen up, seniors. This is the last week to get your senior portrait for the Ole Miss yearbook. You have to schedule an appointment, so log into your university email and you should have an email from the 2022 yearbook with a link to schedule your appointment. Once you click that link, just select your date and time and fill in your information to schedule your picture. Sign-up slots are available through next Friday.
The first black Secretary of State in American history died this morning after complications from coronavirus.
We'll hear from top U.S. officials as they react to Powell's death coming up. But first, here's a look at your current conditions.
Hurricanes and major flooding threaten cities, towns, and rural homes across the Gulf states. So chances are there will be more storms and floods near here again. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has all the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's not my first time bartending, so.
It's a sausage party in here.
It's fine. I'm very familiar.
Yeah, because you're a sexy girl, Sam. Last thing,
Yeah.
is that the music, when Momo kicks it into high gear, is going to get a little bit loud in here. So your customers are going to have a hard time hearing you. So you may want to.
What?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
This morning, former Secretary of State Colin Powell died at the age of 84 after complications from coronavirus. CNN's Chris Wynn has more on the death of a trailblazer.
The world reacting to the death of former Secretary of State Colin Powell, the first African-American and youngest chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and later the first African-American Secretary of State under President George W. Bush.
So I've always felt strongly that you should try to solve conflicts in this world through negotiations, through diplomacy.
Former President Bush releasing a statement Monday saying in part, he was such a favorite of presidents that he earned the Presidential Medal of Freedom twice. He was highly respected at home and abroad. And most important, Colin was a family man and a friend. President Biden also recognizing Powell's decades of public service, writing in part, Colin embodied the highest ideals of both warrior and diplomat. Colin Powell was a good man. He will be remembered as one of our great Americans. and members of Biden's cabinet remembering Powell's legacy.
We will certainly miss him. I feel as if I have a hole in my heart just learning of this.
Secretary Powell was simply and completely a leader, and he knew how to build a strong and united team.
Powell grew up in the Bronx, New York. His parents immigrated from Jamaica. He served 2 tours in Vietnam, rising through the ranks to become a 4-star general. As Secretary of State, he made the case before the UN Security Council in 2003 to invade Iraq based on intelligence that it had weapons of mass destruction. The war lasted more than 8 years. No weapons of mass destruction ever turned up.
I regret it now because the information was wrong.
Powell spent his civilian years empowering youth through his projects.
When I heard their stories, I said, this is where I belong. I'm home again.
Powell died from complications from COVID-19, according to his family. He was 84 years old. In Washington, I'm Chris Wynn.
Powell had a form of plasma cancer which suppressed his immune system.
Today in Georgia, jury selection is underway in the murder trial of Ahmaud Arbery. Arbery's death in February of 2020 was caught on camera and sparked protests around the country. The video shows Arbery jogging when a truck pulls up to him, resulting in a fight, and one man eventually pulls out a gun and shoots Arbery. All 3 men have pled not guilty to murder charges. A Georgia judge will choose just 12 jurors out of a pool of 1,000. The trial is scheduled to begin in February.
Californians across the state are protesting today against Governor Gavin Newsom's COVID-19 vaccine mandate for students. Parents are having their children stay home from school in various sit-outs and walkouts. In addition, rallies took place outside numerous campuses and school district offices. This is all to protest the first-of-its-kind mandate in the nation, which will require students to get vaccinated to attend school once vaccines are federally approved for certain age groups. State officials plan for the phased mandate to go into effect first for grades 7 through 12 in July. Unvaccinated students will then be forced to do independent study and will not be allowed to attend in-person classes at either public and private schools.
Current and former Southwest airline employees are protesting a vaccination requirement. The gathering outside the airline's headquarters in Dallas, Texas comes after Southwest set a deadline for its employees to be vaccinated by the first week of October. This deadline mirrors the federal deadline set for workers at companies that hold contracts with the U.S. government. Most domestic carriers are following the executive order, excluding Delta Airlines.
Coming up next in sports, the Rebel soccer team is now 6-1 in SEC play after their weekend win against Vanderbilt. And there's a new champion in town. Find out which WNBA team won their first ever WNBA championship in franchise history. Up next in sports.
Mom, I got it. What are you doing in there?
I got stuff.
Are you a dog?
I wouldn't do that. Have you seen the pliers? Where'd you find those?
It's not your birthday.
Sorry.
Bye, Grandpa.
Bye, Grandpa.
Take care of yourself.
What are you doing? What are you looking for?
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. They're At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Julia, are you ready to play band with us? I'm gonna play my clarinet.
And Elmo's gonna play his drum. Drum loud.
Oh, well, you know what to do, Julia.
Julia knows.
With Julia's autism, loud sounds can be too much.
But she still loves to make music. Play band.
Early screening for autism can make a lifetime of difference. Find out more at screenforautism.org.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Knew we were going to have to weather a storm early of energy and emotion, and a lot of stuff went wrong in the first quarter, and luckily we really played good defense, to keep us hanging around. I just wanted to play. I mean, the players got helmets. It's the coaches that are going to get hit. Like, I still have my souvenir golf ball that I got hit with. But so, I mean, I just said, put the helmets on, let's play. And really, the Tennessee people, were really down there on the field, were taking care of us. Number of bottles with some brown stuff in them, so I'm not sure. Probably not moonshine. I don't think they'd waste the moonshine on me. I think that's one of the most passionate fan bases in America. And you got 100,000 of them together, and things don't go their way when all that energy's going, and, they got upset. I don't know.
That was Coach Kiffin's reaction to the scene in Knoxville on Sunday. And we apologize for the technical difficulties which kept us from bringing that to you earlier in the show. Ole Miss continues to dominate their SEC opponents with a 1-0 victory over Vanderbilt. Haley Stackpole gave the number 18 Rebels the lead less than 7 minutes into the game, and the defense were able to hold it out the rest of the game. The Rebels were outshot 19-5 on the match, but the defense held firm to shut out the Commodores and move the Rebels to 6-1 in SEC play. Haley Stackpole's performance for the Rebels earned her SEC Offensive Player of the Week after her 4th goal this season. She ranks 2nd in the nation with 13 assists on the year. Stackpole and the Rebels will look to stay hot as they head to Missouri to take on the Tigers Saturday at 6 p.m. On the court, the Ole Miss volleyball team lost in a heartbreaking 5 sets to in-state rival Mississippi State. The Rebels were unable to fight off the Bulldog comeback and fell 3-2 at the Gillum Center yesterday. Ole Miss came away with the first 2 sets before losing 3 sets in a row to State. Junior Riley Fisher totaled a career-high 20 digs, while Kylie McLaughlin dished out 39 assists to her hitters throughout the series. Ole Miss will look to pick back up momentum as they head to Missouri to take on the Tigers for the 2-match series this Thursday and Friday at 6 p.m. Swinging things over to the baseball field, the Rebels easily handled the Little Rock Trojans in their first of 2 fall exhibition games. Ole Miss struggled in the first few innings before Calvin Harris launched a solo shot into right field. Jack Washburn had a scoreless 9th inning before Little Rock got on the board on a double that dropped in no man's land. Chardonnay put the game further out of reach after he blasted a 2-run homer, the 3rd home run of the game. The Rebels will be back in action on October 30th when they welcome Alabama into town for a fall exhibition game. Firing things over to the shooting range, the Ole Miss rifle team cruised to victory over Navy and Akron this weekend with the same score in both wins. The Rebels made it past the 4,700 mark for the first time this season and posted their best score by 22 points. The Rebels turned around and did it again for a 2nd straight day, beating Navy 4,719 to 4,687. Leah Horvath finished as the top individual for the 3rd straight match this season after firing a score of 1,185. The Rebel Rifle team will be back in action on October 30th to close out their fall home slate against NC State. And to wrap things up with some NBA action, History was made last night as the Chicago Sky fought back from a second-half deficit to beat the Phoenix Mercury and claim their first ever WNBA championship. Chicago native Candace Parker turned in a dominant performance for the Sky after signing as a free agent for Chicago 8 months ago. Parker finished with 16 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 steals on the night. The unlikely champions bested the Phoenix Mercury 80-74 and moved to 3-1 in the best-of-5 series. The number 6 Sky are the lowest seed to win the title since the WNBA changed its format in 2016. And that's all I've got for sports. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at @Rebel_Watch for the latest sports updates.
Thanks, Ruby.
And in more sports news, an Australian golfer hit a hole-in-one. Sounds like a normal day for some golfers, but not this golfer. Find out what makes this hole-in-one so special next on NewsWatch Ole Miss.
I am what hunger looks like in America. I was created by artificial intelligence from faces of the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger.
Worried about your friend, but don't know how to reach out?
You could say, how are you, or get a fake tattoo. You could ask with an app if it works for you. You could chat with them in VR, it's all good. If you think you should check in, yeah, you should.
Whatever gets you talking. Reach out to a friend about their mental health. Whatever gets you talking. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
Don't ignore the subtext. It's on us to intervene in sexual assault. Because we can. Take the pledge at itsonus.org.
We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are distinguished as a Carnegie R1 top 2.5% research institution. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
'99-year-old Hugh Brown typically struggles to make the green in one shot. He even teed off with the group ahead of him. Next thing he knew, he saw the group ahead waving their hands out of anger. But after he made his way down to the green and asked where the ball was, they pointed at the hole.
Brown had made a hole-in-one on the 161-yard par 3 hole, just 2 months shy of his 100th birthday. It was Brown's first ace in 61 years, and he stands as the oldest Australian golfer to ever achieve this feat.
You know, I could play golf until I was 99 years old, and I would never make that shot.
Mason, I wouldn't make a hole-in-one ever.
The only part about golf that I like is driving the golf cart, so.
And that'll wrap us up tonight. For NewsWatch Ole Miss, I'm Mason Ciano.
And I'm Darielle Johnson. Be sure to follow us on social media for all your NewsWatch updates.
Thank you and good night.